Okay, so I'm gonna rebuild my PC from out of this case into my new case over here because I lost the screws, thumb screws, and all that for this here. I got one sitting here. Um, as you can see, my data array is kind of just hanging there because I didn't have enough screws to mount everything, and well, this case is, it's old, and, being that I lost the thumb screws and it has pretty poor ventilation, um, I decided I would put it in this one, which probably doesn't have much better ventilation considering if you look down in here, the fan's blocking some of this ventilation, but it would definitely be a lot more optimal than this little gap here, so, plus this one has a remote for the RGB, so that's kind of cool. I can, change my RGBs through a remote setting. So, yeah, I'll go ahead and start stripping down the different, components out of it. I'm going to do some cleaning here because, as you can see, this is kind of a little bit nasty after 2 years of use. I'm actually going on 3. I built this at the end of 2018. I got the final parts in January of 2019. And yeah, I built it in this case, and it's been in here ever since. It's seen quite a bit of usage. It runs pretty much constantly, as you could see. Yeah, I put the RAM in the wrong slots, but it's not optimal, but it doesn't matter. It'll work like that, but it's definitely not optimal because technically I'm using 2 single channels instead of dual channel, which would make this a little bit faster when it comes to the RAM speeds. But yeah, we'll get this apart and then we'll see what it looks like in the new case. I'm also going to fix my jungle wiring here. Yeah, I did a pretty poor job routing the wiring, but then again, given the kind of space that I got in this case, it's a major clusterfuck anyway in the back, so I was kind of limited on my options. So, we're going to try and fix that this time around. But yeah, let me get to it and we'll be back. Alright, so we're going to start with tearing this apart now. We're going to go ahead and pull out this graphics card here first, because I feel like that makes the most sense. And there she is. Very beautiful, huh? Yeah, it's seen a lot of usage. This is a RX 8, oh god, I can't even speak. RX 580, Sapphire Nitro Edition. As you can see, it's 8 gigabytes of RAM and is overclockable and all the fun stuff. Not that I've ever done that. I haven't needed to. For any instances that I could find, it works just fine in stock configuration. So I went ahead and stuck with that. Now we're going to remove. This is a brand new hard drive. I literally just copied all of my games over to this yesterday. 2 terabyte. Because I ran out of space on this SanDisk, 1 terabyte. So I didn't have enough to install updates for Cold War or anything like that. So, or I actually had a few games on my Steam account I couldn't install because I didn't have the space to. And then we got ourselves here a what is this, 500 gig, I believe, 512 gig, yeah. So we got 512, 1 gig, 2 gig, just going up the ladder here. Then we got a 2 gig standard hard drive in the back here, 7200 RPM. Now, this stuff here, I kind of made a rat's nest out of all this, but it is actually somewhat, I made an attempt to do some neatness in here. As you can see, it's probably not the best, but it did work for the time period that it's lasted me. So we'll get these pin connectors disconnected here. We're going to need to do some new thermal paste. And I've got here probably arguably one of the best brands of thermal paste. 1 gram tube. I'm not going to need all that anyway. So go ahead and remove this AMD stock cooler. Yeah, as you can see, I've actually been running it without thermal paste for a while. I know somebody's gonna bitch at me because that's not a great idea, but it's worked fine, and I haven't had thermal throttling out of it, so I guess that little bit of paste that was still left on there from before I cleaned it, well, which would be now, from the last time I removed it, I guess that served it well. I haven't had any issues, so haven't noticed thermal throttling, any kind of overheating. Thermals seem to be okay. I mean, I had a side off of this thing for about 6 months to a year now anyway, because like I said, I lost the thumb screws. So a lot of in and out of this thing, and you know, I just kind of put them aside, and then when I would clean, I would move them, and then I'd forget what I did with them. So let me make sure that's, yeah, it's wired up to the thing there. Let's get these off of here. The front panel connectors. So I've decided, since this camera only likes to record for 5-minute increments, it's a cell phone, by the way. Since it decides it doesn't, and I don't feel like finding the settings for it to fix that. I don't even know if I can change that. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to tear the rest of this apart, and then we'll get into doing the rest of it once I get everything out of the case and we're ready to go. So I shall return. Okay, so here we are. We've got the B350F out of the old case. I'm going to have to do some cleaning. As you can see, it's rather dusty. But that's going to all be one of the next steps that I go through here. We'll go through the cleaning process, clean this up, clean up this. I already cleaned up the heat sink a couple months ago, but I didn't clean up the fan very well, so we'll clean the fan up. And we'll get this prepared to go into a new case. Well, now we got that bitch of a power supply out. This thing was a total pain in the ass, because as you can see, this doesn't quite fit with the wires in the back, but it is fully modular, 1000 watt, 80 plus gold. Really good one. Not that I need that much, you know, power, but the reason I bought it is for upgradability. The idea was, if I decide to add dual graphics card or, you know, something crazy into it later, I'd have more than enough juice to power whatever I needed. So we got that out. Now I got to go through the untangling of all these wires and my little pseudo routing system here. So I'm gonna go ahead and we'll just yank all this out of here, because we're not messing with this case no more. This case is probably just gonna go in the garbage. I don't see a point in keeping it. I mean, it served its purpose for the time that I needed it to, but no longer is it necessary. So I'll probably extract like the fans and the fan controller and all that fun stuff out of it, but yeah, disconnect my Molex Centipede, as Gamers Nexus likes to call it. give me. Although it's not much of a Molex centipede. I tried not to do that because I don't like that either, personally. But, so, we got that all taken care of. Now, this stuff will stay in here for now. But we're going to get moved on to tearing down this case and getting it down to where I can start adding in the parts to it. So we got 2 drive bays here. I'm going to put 2 of my SATA's SSDs here. The third one I might put on this front because there's a way to connect them to this. I might just do that because I want to make it as neat as possible. This thing here was an atrocious mess. So we're going to try and make this a lot neater. And I'll be back and I'll show you what I've come up with after we get to the cleaning. We're going to go ahead and do the cleaning part next. So I'm going to have to probably use this table over here because it's a little bit messy around here right now on the table, but we'll do the cleaning process over here. And we should be able to get all this grime and crap off of here. Get all this old thermal compound off. Reseat the RAM the correct way because, you know, I've just been lazy about it. It's not that I didn't know I did it wrong. I just kind of slapped it together for testing when I originally built it and just was lazy about changing it. I never fixed it, so. Yes, shame on me and my laziness, but I should get better performance out of having it in the correct dual channel configuration. But yeah, we'll be back with the cleaning process. Okay, so our cleaning solution is going to be a little bit of 70% alcohol, which will be just fine for this. Some paper towels. I may go down and use the compressor in the basement to blow off any excess because I don't have any compressed air can stuff laying around, so I may just use the compressor for that. But yeah, I'll get to work on that, and then once I'm done I'll come back on camera and I'll show you what it looks like. I've decided, for the added benefit of cleaning it a little better, we're going to use a soft bristle toothbrush. Nothing special, cheap Dollar Tree brand. So that'll be added to the mix for the cleaning process. Okay, I think the motherboard itself looks pretty good. We'll get in a little closer here so you can take a better look at it. But yeah, it's definitely far better than it was. We got out a good vast majority of all that dust, especially over here on the VRM. So it looks a lot better in my opinion. So we'll go at the fan next for the CPU. I'll probably clean this up just a tad bit better. Make that nice and shiny. And there we go. And that should be good. I gotta clean off the RAM too, get all the dust off of that. Why put it in a new case if it's gonna be old and dirty? And no, Sammy, come on. You're gonna have to go for now while I do this. Go on. Just your girlfriend. Alright, so I'll be back with all of this back together and ready to go into the PC. So I've removed the fin stack here off of this, and I did some cleaning, but I'm going to do some more thorough cleaning on this because it just looks disgusting. So I'll be back with that. Okay, so here's the fan now all cleaned up and ready for reassembly. It's not perfect, but I got so much nastiness out of this that it's far better than I could ever hope to get it. So look at that. That's just disgusting. Okay. there's a couple more that I had already thrown away by this point that were a lot nastier than that. So get to reassembling. As you can see, I took the whole thing apart. There's 4 of these screws. One just fell in this drawer. There's those 4 screws, and then we got to reinstall the fence stack. But it's ready to go. We're getting this set up here. So you lay this in there like that, and then you stick this back over top of it. And then these fins are going to go over top of there, but I'm going to do a little bit of cleaning there first. So I'm going to take care of that, and I'll assemble it. And voila, a lot better. So now we got this cleaned up good enough, we can reseat this back into here, which isn't too difficult. You just got to watch to make sure you don't bust these clips. So you line your stuff up, give it a nice press, and then check the other side. It's already been pressed down on that side too. Good. And there we go. It's all back together. Now those 4 screws that I showed before, they go in these corners, but you want to take the fin stack off. You're not going to be able to remove those to get to the fan. Well, to get off the RGB assembly portion, to get into the fan better without removing those screws or the fin stack. So fin stack first, screws. Okay, so now that we've got the motherboard cleaned up, the RAM and the CPU cooler, we can go ahead and start going through the assembly process here. And what I'm going to start with here is some of this Thermal Grizzly. And I love that it comes with this little applicator. This is pretty nice. So we're going to go ahead and give this a little squirt here. You don't need a lot of this. You just need enough to spread around. And kind of make it it's more about the conductivity. So as long as you got enough to spread around, you don't need to go crazy with it. Because its key job is to make contact with the heat sink to transfer the heat more efficiently. You know, get it looking like a nice little Bob Ross painting. So, a couple little dabs here and there. Okay, and I think that looks good enough. Now we could seat the heatsink. So we'll go ahead and set this on here. Try and do this with the camera here. This is going to be a little annoying, but demonstration purposes, I think it should be fine. So we'll push this side down, get it, well, if it'll clip. I never did really like these things, but they are better than having to screw them in. Okay, and there we go. We're locked in. So that's that. we've got our thermal paste added. Okay, we've got it nice and ready to go. Clean up this applicator real quick. Now I can stuff it back in its little bag, pouch, whatever. You know, a little bit of alcohol pad action there. And then we can put that away. Put it back in its pouch. And this can go away now. We no longer need that. Okay. So now onto the RAM. Now we're going to put this in dual channel mode the proper way this time. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into slots 2 and 4, or you know, whatever you want to label them as, but it'd be slot 2 and 4. Slot 2 and slot 4. This is the proper way to configure your dual channel. Okay, and we're all locked in, so that's good. That's all we got to do there. Now we can start the reassembly process, which is the fun part. So I'll get back after that's underway. Alright, so we're finally done here, and there's some annoying aspects. That's why the hard drives are mounted here, but the way that you're intended to mount them here on the other side, you have to risk breaking your goddamn SATA cables and shit, and that's annoying. I don't like that, so I just mounted them here. Another annoying thing is, because I got a bigger power supply unit, well, I had to mount my standard hard drive here, which is kind of a little bit Mickey Mouse there, but it works. So it's all back together, and I'm gonna get it on the bench and put it all together and get it tested and see how it fares like this. Okay, well, we're fully assembled. This is what it looks like as it sits. So now all we got to get on to now is plugging it in and testing it out. Just plug that power adapter in there, and then I'll go ahead and turn on my audio. And let's take a look at it. Let's see how it looks now. Huh. Well, we got a little bit of an issue here. Okay, now that it's all done, made a little bit of a dumb oopsie. I left the power supply switch on, so when I went around back and flipped it, I turned it off. So now we can see how this thing looks with this case powered up. And I don't think it looks too bad. Let's shut off the light and take a look at it with the lights out. Okay, and after that little annoying whatever, I didn't change anything in the BIOS, and it hit reset and it just fixed itself. So whatever, it figured it out. But overall, I gotta say, this thing doesn't look too bad. Really nice. We'll have to try out this remote control here and see. There we go. Well, see, no, that's not what I set it to. When I set it to red and breathe, it doesn't. That's something I don't like. You can only, if you set a solid color, it won't do any of these little effects on the side. That's kind of dumb. Okay, well, you can dim them though. That's kind of cool. Not too big a fan of that. But yeah, it's not bad overall. I would prefer to breathe to be able to set to a single color like the motherboard is, but cheap RGB fan controller. So what do you expect, I guess. But yeah, that's it. It's all cleaned up. It's all ready to go, and it's all functioning again. So that's it.